Weight of Memory, Episode 26. The Tragedy of Innocence, the story of Premawathi Manampere, 17 to April 1971. In the annals of Sri Lankan history, few stories evoke as much sorrow, outrage, and reflection as that of Premawathi Manampere. Born on January 18, 1949 in the sacred town of Kataragma, she was a young woman of promise, intelligent, graceful, and deeply rooted in her community. Her life, however, was brutally cut short at the age of 22, leaving behind a legacy of injustice and a haunting reminder of the dangers of unchecked power. Premawathi was the eldest daughter in a large family, raised by Hendrik Apuhami and Lilawathi Obesinghe. She pursued education with passion, passing the Dharmacharya examination and serving as a Dhamma teacher at the Kataragama Dhamma School. Her commitment to Buddhist teachings and her role as a mentor to young minds reflected a life dedicated to compassion and wisdom. In 1970, she was crowned Princess of the Year, Avarudhu Kumari, at a local festival, a title that celebrated not just her beauty but her poise and popularity. Yet this public recognition would tragically become a catalyst for envy and vengeance. The 1971 insurrection and a fatal betrayal. During the JVP insurrection in April 1971, Kataragama became a hotspot of unrest. On April 16th, Premawathi was falsely accused of being a rebel and arrested by Sub-Inspector Jayasiri Udawate, a police officer whose romantic advances she had previously rejected. She was handed over to the army, where Lieutenant Alfred Bijesuriya and volunteer officer Amaradasa Ratnayake subjected her to torture, humiliation, and public degradation. She was stripped naked, beaten, and forced to walk through town with her hands raised, a grotesque spectacle of cruelty. Near the Kataragama post office, she was shot, but remained conscious, reportedly asking for water. She was then buried alive and later shot in the head to ensure her death. A post-mortem confirmed she was still alive, buried. Justice and its limits. Her body was exhumed on May 24, 1971, and an inquest led to a trial in the Galley Criminal Court, presided over by Justice D.Q.M. Siramane. Wajasuriya and Ratnayake were convicted of attempted murder and sentenced to 16 years of rigorous imprisonment. However, S.I. Udawade, the man who orchestrated her arrest, was never charged, and the possibility of sexual assault was never investigated. The circumstances surrounding her death were riddled with corruption and cruelty, despite multiple witnesses attesting to her innocence and the personal motives behind her arrest. Justice was elusive. While 2 Army officers were convicted of attempted murder, the police officer who orchestrated her arrest faced no consequences. Her story became emblematic of how women's bodies are often weaponized in conflict, and how systemic failures can silence even the most glaring truths. Cultural reverberations and memorials. Premawathi's death sparked national outrage, becoming a rallying cry during the 1977 elections, where J.R. Jayewardene condemned the incident as emblematic of state brutality. Her story inspired Nahi Warina Virani, a film starring Sangeetha Weeraratne as Premawathi, a song by Anton Jones narrating her tragic fate, a reference in Shehan Karunatalaka's The 7 Moons of Maali Almeida, where she symbolizes defiled innocence. In 1979, a memorial was built in Kataragama featuring a clay pot offering water to pilgrims, a gesture of healing. Sadly, it was later vandalized and obscured with paint, and eventually demolished. Conclusion. Premawathi Manampere's story is not just a tale of personal tragedy, it is a mirror held up to society. It asks us to confront the consequences of abuse, the fragility of justice, and the enduring strength of memory. Her life, though stolen, continues to speak. It urges us to remember, to question, and to ensure that such horrors are never repeated. She was a teacher, a daughter, a beauty queen. But above all, she was human, and her humanity deserves to be honored.